Welcome back, guys. It's the Brothers Geek Out podcast, and I'd like to introduce a special guest. So we've been doing a monthly podcast where we're going to bring in special guests and talk about passion and really geek out. It's called the Brothers Geek Out podcast, but on this one we'll do Brother and Sister Geek Out podcast. Yeah. How's it going, Tasmin?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
We are good. It's been an interesting, as you know, it's been an interesting year, and we've been trying to kind of spread some love out there and some positivity. So we recently started inviting more guests to the podcast, and my brother Gilman, he was like, "Look, you know, so many cool people. Why can't we get them on a podcast and share some of that passion with the rest of the world?" So a massive thank you for taking the time out and joining us.
No problem.
Uh,
Yeah,
but how have you been? How's things been going?
yeah, slowly.
Yeah.
um, well, like on a personal level, just sort of on furlough with work, and it's pretty much been going on since March. So it's just trying to find stuff to fill the time, and I've taken a second job, which is it's pretty easy, but it's not ideal. But just plodding on, I suppose.
It's what we do. It's what we do. But you've done loads more in your free time when it comes to putting your content together and your passion for this massive character that we all love, and it keeps you. Does that play an element in what you do on a day-to-day basis when it comes to putting work together and getting up in the morning and pushing forward and the rest of it?
Yeah, I think if I didn't sort of have the website and stuff, I'd just it'll be bored out of my mind. It sort of passes the time. It's given me something to do. Like I've taken on tasks to do with the character that I suppose we're going to talk about.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, it's just getting to know the character even more than what I did
No,
before.
definitely. G-Man.
Well, since when we get into it, why Superman? Why Superman? Why is your character? I mean, obviously your Instagram handle and everything is the inspiring Kryptonian. So there's a big relationship with Superman. Why him?
I love him.
Of course, we all do.
Yeah.
I think for me, it started off when I was really young. So the reason I got into Superman was because my granddad sort of planted seeds in my head back in the 90s when I was little, because he used to watch, well, I didn't watch it religiously, but used to watch the odd episode of Lois and Clark with Dean Cain. So I remember it being on TV, and he'd be like, "Look, Taz, he can fly. Look at this, Taz," and it worked, obviously.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was just things like that. So it was kind of sentimental, and then as I sort of grew older and there was more films and stuff coming out, like Superman Returns, I just fell in love with the character a bit more. I don't know, it's hard to explain really. The reason why is kind of, he's just like the purest kind of person, or like purest soul. He always strives for good. And I think my actual favorite thing is the fact that he's this overpowered character, but he hides behind a mask that is just a standard person. Whereas most heroes are the opposite. They're standard people, and they want to be these.
Yeah, I guess he's like one of the most human characters, right? Considering he's the most powerful character out there.
He's like the most human character, even though he's not actually human.
Yeah, exactly. So was it your grandfather that got you into this whole geeky world and all that sort of stuff?
No, he wasn't geeky. He's into his like Western films and all the Carry On films and stuff. I think that was just one of the things that was on TV, and he used to try and get me to be quiet, I guess.
But was that your first introduction to it, or did you have an introduction before?
No, that was Dean Cain was my first introduction to Superman, and then because I kind of showed a bit of interest in that, my granddad got me onto watching Superman the movie.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Nice.
That's actually so you got to meet Dean Cain at Comic-Con, didn't you?
Yeah, I've met him twice now, I think.
What was it like?
He's I know he gets a lot of stick on Twitter, but he's genuinely the nicest person, or one of the nicest people that I've ever met. I remember the first time I met him, there was this massive, like the Show Masters Comic-Con, there's massive queues, and I was sort of at the back, and he spent like 10-15 minutes with each person. That's why the queue was so big. But like he didn't let it phase him. He was like, oh, he needs to go to lunch now, and he's like, no, I'll wait for 5 more minutes. So
Oh, bless.
no, it was really nice. And then he remembered me on the second time as well, so that was quite cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Did you get nervous? Do you get nervous around people that, you know, you've seen them on TV? It was your introduction to Superman? How do you feel? How do you handle that stuff and compose yourself?
It depends where I am, I suppose. I don't know. At Comic-Cons, it's kind of like a whirlwind. So sometimes you don't even know that you're about to meet people. Like, for example, at New York Comic-Con, you'll see like Scott Snyder or Jim Lee just walking around, and I was like, "What? He's literally just bumped into me." So you don't have time to sort of collect your feelings at that point. But then if you're standing in line, you kind of just compose yourself and think of questions, or try not to make yourself seem or look stupid.
Nah, I mean that alone, because I've been going to Comic-Con for years, and we met. I know we met online on Instagram, but when we first saw each other was at a Comic-Con, and I know how kind of grueling and emotional it can be at a Comic-Con when you're ready to see somebody that represents your character.
Yeah.
And you're right, you don't really get the time because it's so busy and so manic. So I remember when I met Michael J. Fox, how it was and how busy it was at that Comic-Con, because it was his first time doing a Comic-Con and he wanted to do it in the UK first. It was so busy, and it was just like, it was a sauna. I was like, how do people do this? And this was like, I think it was the first time me meeting somebody of one of my favorite characters, and I was like, I can't believe, what do I do? What do I say? How do I do this? Like, what happens? And it goes by so quick as well.
I think in that situation with Michael J. Fox, you said it was his first convention. I think like with Dean Cain, he knows that people are excited to see him, so he does conventions like all the time. I think that was his first UK appearance. But other than that, he's done so many, and I think he's just got used to what people like. So that was quite nice.
That is actually really good, really good.
I admire that. I mean, because I see you guys work, and I'm like, I don't know how you guys compose yourself, because I consider myself socially awkward. So when I meet someone, like I'm into like mixed martial arts and whatnot, and when I meet a fighter that inspires me, I always like in my head like, oh, don't say nothing stupid, and I just feel awkward, man. You know, I want to have a conversation and whatnot, but I just feel so awkward. I'm like, oh, can we just get the picture and let me get out of here?
It depends who it is. It depends what they're like as well. Because if they're a bit awkward, like the second time I met Dean Cain, I met Terry Hatcher as well, and that was her first convention ever in the UK, like in the world, and she was lovely, but she didn't know how to talk to people, like just spark conversation kind of thing. So that was a bit awkward, and I think it depends what the other person's like. Because if they're a bit awkward, it's the same for you.
Yeah, that would be me. I would just be so awkward. I'm like, just get a picture, get out of here. But no, you guys seem good. I mean, look, I like I said, I met you at the Shazam premiere thing and whatnot, and like with my brother here, like I just seen the inspiration that he's gone through the last couple of years, and then meeting up with yourself, Geek still, and just his passion has grown, and that's kind of giving me excitement and whatnot to see you guys work together. I just see you do your thing, and I'm like, man, you guys are good. Like I know everyone expresses their confidence in different ways, so I could definitely appreciate that. But like, you know, when these lot met Kevin Smith, I was like, I don't know how I would have geeked out so much, it would have been awkward, man. I would have ruined it for you, like, would have ruined it for everybody. But
also, it depends who it is and how much they mean to you as well. Because there's people that I've met, like I think I can't remember who it was, but it was someone that my cousin. I go to my Comic-Cons mostly with my cousin, and she wanted to meet this guy, and I didn't have a clue who he was, but he was really nice, and she was like pretty much sweating and crying. I was like, oh, get a grip, and I was like, that's probably what I'm like actually, isn't it? It's from seeing it from the other side, the other angle.
Yeah, no, that's right, definitely. I think everybody plays a different part, and as you said, like how Dean Cain composes himself and how he knows how to treat everybody. Because when I've met people at Comic-Cons and I was like, that didn't go down too well. What happened and what was wrong? But we know how many Comic-Cons can get, and if it's not scheduled properly or something doesn't happen right, things do go wrong. But you just have to take it with a pinch of salt. I kind of think in a way where we've done this for a little while now, so I'm ready for what they're gonna like bring out or maybe say
Do you think like if someone like with one of your interactions, right, and this goes to both of you, right, and it didn't go as well as you wanted, do they lose a fan, or as a fan do you be like, all right, forget about it, I'm still a fan of their work or whatever? Or do you think that's a risk of them losing fans and stuff with that kind of interaction?
I think there is a risk of losing. It depends what the interaction is and how bad it is, I suppose. But there is a risk of it. But I think, well, so far the people that I've met, pretty much everyone's been nice. Like there's ones that've been nice, then others are more sort of talkative. But everyone's been nice, and I think the only one, well, I think the most miserable one that I met was Terence Stamp.
Name dropping.
Name dropping. Gotta be done.
I was queued for a long time for that. But I think because it was towards the end of the day when I met him, and he's had this he's like a fairly old guy. He's old, and he's this long day of people coming up to him for autographs and crying and whatever else. So he's just probably had enough by the time that I got there. But it wasn't enough to like. It wasn't a bad experience, but you could just tell he wants to go home.
I don't blame you, and if you can do name dropping, then I might as well do my name dropping as well. But I met Chris Claremont, and I was at MCM Comic Con, and you know what, I still love his work. And exactly what happened to you was it was coming towards the end of the day. His queue was massive. So Chris Claremont is a writer for X-Men back in the 80s and 90s, and I could just tell, you know. He was so tired and angry, and he's like, what time does this show? When I got to him, he was like, what time does this show finish? And I was like, I've just been in the queue for 2 hours.
That's all you've got to say.
And I didn't. After that, I was a little bit upset, and I tried to ask him a few questions, but he was so like ready to go, and he was already packing. I was like, oh my God. Like, you really killed that for me, but I still love his work. And then I could understand being in that hot room for 8 hours of the day with thousands of people coming up to you and you're signing all day. It could get to you sometimes, but I took a positive away from it. I make sure I go there and queue up early in the morning and meet the people I want to meet straight away before I wait to the end of the day.
I just remembered that there was one. It was a comic artist that I met in New York Comic Con, because I took this massive I pretty much took half a suitcase of comics. It was a lot. But no, I apologize. I don't know if I say his name right, but in Hayekli, like his artwork is incredible. Like it's all mostly digital, sort of anime style. And he did a couple of the covers for Action Comics 1000.
Yeah.
And I took mine to be signed, and he was drawing, he was doing a commission, so he was busy. But he had someone there with him, and he didn't even look up, didn't acknowledge that I was there. I was the only person there as well. And then the guy was just like, "Oh, you want an autograph? You need to come back on Sunday." I was like, you know what? I'm not going to come back on Sunday. So that's like the only one I didn't get signed.
Oh, that's a shame. Is there someone that you like met or interviewed that you like felt nervous about, and you like really had to prep yourself, and how did you handle that process?
I think every interview I do, I get nervous about, just because if you never interviewed them before, you don't know what their vibe is, so you don't know how free flowing a conversation is going to be, or whether it's just going to be like a yes or no sort of interview. But well, the ones that I've done sort of on Zoom for the website and for YouTube, like my preparation is a glass of wine. I just drink a quick glass of wine before, and it sort of chills you out, and just go over the question. Like I pre-write the questions, so well, most of them, and then whatever answer they give, there'll probably be more questions from that. But yeah, I don't know. You just kind of deal with it, and then once you start talking to begin with, I remember with the Mark Miller one, I was like really nervous, like shaking. And I was just sat on Zoom, you know, when you're waiting for someone to join the call, and I was just sat there like, oh my god, he's any minute now. But as soon as we started talking, like the first few minutes, it just, all my nerves sort of went, and it was just like a normal conversation.
Oh, that's cool. I can imagine Kevin Smith preparing like that, but except instead of wine, talking about weed.
Yeah.
He's always on the weed. When you watch his shows, like I watched the one this week, and he started off coughing. Like the introduction was him coughing away. But yeah, everyone to their own and whatnot.
No.
So you've been to a few different Comic Cons, from the UK ones to the ones in the US. Have you been to the main San Diego one? Because that's our dream.
Yeah, I went once. Do you
How
know what?
was that in regards to levels of, from here to that? Because that's the main one, right?
The UK to America it's ridiculous. Like, for example, when I went to San Diego Comic-Con, the week after, I didn't really time it well, so the week after, I had already booked tickets to London Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
I went from San Diego pretty much straight into London Comic-Con, and the difference is immense. Like,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Couldn't be imagined. Yeah, because me and kids have been talking about it for ages. Like, we have to do the and we've got to spend all the monies in the world. Like, I want to go to all the, they have private rooms or whatever, and they do, Marvel do their announcements and what. Want to pay for all of that shit. So I can imagine like the difference, because in London we don't get.
no.
I appreciate it. Thank you for coming here, but they need to step up slowly.
Yeah. But I think, in my opinion, New York Comic Con was twice as good as San Diego Comic Con.
Oh really? Why is that?
It was just with San Diego, you don't. It's really hard to explain. You don't get the chance to meet the stars unless you win it in the raffle.
Oh,
so
wow.
if like if there's a film coming, say like Batman Superman was coming out, so the cast are going to be there, but you can't just go up and pay to get an autograph.
Okay.
You have to win the raffle, which you have no control over, and you never end up getting what you want. Because it's the same kind of thing. It's the same company, Reed Pop, that do New York Comic Con, that do MCM, so it's the same kind of thing as that.
Right. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That is a massive difference. So you preferred New York Comic Con. Is that purely for that reason, or just the setup?
Yeah, for that. The way it's set up it's just more cooler there. It's like when you go from MCM Comic Con to a Showmasters Comic Con, you can see the difference in all the decoration and stuff like that. It's a bit like that. The guests the people that I got to meet were much better at New York Comic Con, and they were just sort of roaming around. And New York City is it's amazing. It's better than San Diego, in my opinion. But
maybe we got to rethink our dreams, or we got to save up more to go both.
Go to San Diego, because I'd go back. Like, it was amazing, but I just think I had a better time at New York Comic Con.
I just feel like New York has a better vibe.
It's New York, right? The Big Apple. That's why I was always surprised why the main one, they always pull it in San Diego and not somewhere like New York. But I don't know. I guess they have their reasons and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I think San Diego's quite overwhelming because there's so many. I think when I went, though, I was working for Hero Within, so I didn't sort of have all the free time. So they were like, "Oh, can you cover this in this place and cover that in this place?" So I was sort of running around San Diego trying to find all these places quite a lot of the time. So because it was so big, and it's not just in one convention center; it's in like 3 different. It's in the hotels all along the strip as well. So it's quite hard to find your way.
Oh, okay, cool. And what about, all right, so Superman is obviously your dude, right? What about outside of Superman? I mean, assuming you're a DC fan, but like the Marvel stuff, you get really involved in all of that stuff as well. Like, what's your go-to Marvel character or shows or whatnot?
It's just kind of obvious.
Loyalty.
He's like the Marvel's version of Superman. I do. I love all the Marvel films. I watch all the films in the cinema. The cousin that I go to the Comic Cons with, she's a big Marvel fan, so we always go at midnight to the new films.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think probably Captain America, Thor. I love. It's just probably the main ones, like Thor, Captain America, Scarlet Witch is probably one of my favorites too. But yeah, I don't know much more. Storm from X-Men as well. She's my favorite. I don't really know. I'll be honest, I haven't really read the Marvel comics. At the minute, I'm just sticking to Superman because I'm doing that reading order. So
that's right. You've got a big list that she's going through at the moment.
Is there a go-to comic that you might recommend if someone was like, who they know Superman, but they want to read something that really kind of like get to know him in a deeper fashion? Is there a specific comic that you might recommend, or?
There's loads. Like for me, the first Superman comic I read was Superman Red Sun, which probably wasn't a good start because it's just not Superman really. But that's one of my favorites, and I remember that being one of the first ones that I read. But like All Star Superman's really good. Secret Origin. I'm trying to think. There's so many.
Yeah, I can imagine. What about your favorite on-screen Superman? So obviously Dean Cain was your introduction, and no disrespect to none of the others. They all done an amazing job. But is there one specific that like that's my guy, that's my Superman, and you wanna?
Henry Cavill.
Is it Cavill? Yeah.
I love all of them, and I think they've also. I did like a little thread on Twitter the other day actually. But they all do their own version of Superman. Like I don't think it's really fair to compare them all. So because I know there are people that will take nobody else but Christopher Reeve, and there's people that will take Henry Cavill and nobody else. But I like Henry Cavill the most because Superman's a character that is just literally out of this world. And when you bring like the Christopher Reeve films, they're very cheesy, but they're not quite realistic. Whereas Man of Steel and Henry Cavill's portrayal sort of brought that character sort of down to earth, so it made it more believable.
Yeah, no, I think what Zack Snyder did in that story, he grounded that character massively because he didn't treat him as a human being. He treated him like an alien.
Yeah.
And to see his upbringing in that movie and how they grounded him in that sense, I absolutely adore that movie. And I feel like what they gave on that structure and his journey before he became Superman was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And I feel like that grounded tone did set something different. And I think Henry embodies that character massively.
Yeah, like on screen and off screen as well. Like all the interviews, the press junkets and stuff that you see him do online. Like
There's actually, I saw an image today which made me laugh. Let me see if I can pull it up.
Did he sign up for 2 or 3 more Superman? Is that true or is that fake news? I think I read something where he signed up for more. Or is that not official?
I read that he had 3 films in his contract, so that would have been Man of Steel, Batman, Superman, and then Justice League, I think.
Okay, so maybe what I read was fake because I think it was indicating that he signed up for another 2. And then I saw Geek still posted something about Man of Steel 2, but I don't know again if that was fake news.
Fake news. Until it comes from like the main head guys, then I mean, all now we can speculate. But that image I was going to show, and I'll probably drop a little image in the corner, was Henry Cavill having an interview when he was doing the press junket for Mission Impossible. They didn't have him, so it said Henry Cavill, Superman at the bottom, and didn't have actor. So it's wicked that he could go around and that the person doing all the graphics made such a big mistake. But it's not a mistake because I think he embodies it so well because I've seen all of his interviews. I see the way he respects the character, and I feel like, I can't see nobody else as him at the moment now. No. And plus, we've invested a lot of money in the hot toys, so I want him to keep going.
Yeah, I think I really hope once Zack Snyder's Justice League's out, I hope they realise how popular his renditions of the characters are. So I hope they sort of carry on building from where he's left off rather than starting afresh. Because, yeah, like I said, I at the minute I can't imagine anyone else taking on the role of Superman. But then again, I said that when my collecting started was when Superman Returns came out. So Brandon Routh was I was in love with Brandon Routh. Still am. I still love him. But when I found out that he wasn't going to be Superman in the next film, I was like, what's the point? And then it still came out.
Yeah, we've always said that. I mean, I'm not saying DC should copy that Marvel route, but we do want to keep a face to our DC characters, right? The Batmans, the Supermans, because they keep changing so often.
Yeah. And what I don't like is when they change it, they tell the whole origin again. Like, we know the origin, we know Superman's origin. Just beyond.
We don't need that at all. I feel like they need to keep the faces that they've got at the moment now. And I've really taken on these characters. I mean, after watching Wonder Woman, I'm like, this woman, she embodies Wonder Woman. Like, Gal plays it so well.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't.
All the characters.
Yeah.
Like, even Batman Aquaman especially. Like Aquaman isn't Aquaman, he's Jason Momoa.
Yeah, he is. I like what they did there, and I'm thinking like I could think like I remember when they casted him, and I remember thinking Zack Snyder is a G for doing what he just did there, because he just brought in a whole different crowd.
He made Aquaman cool.
Universe.
Exactly.
So
I
cool.
saw like a meme a while ago and whatnot, and you know the original Aquaman wears like a orange jumper and green trousers, man. I mean, nobody's gonna know who Aquaman is, but yes, Jason Momoa. I know so many females, and I'm sure there's a couple dudes out there as well that just love Aquaman because of him. So that is such a smart move, because you need to, you know, it's like it's a character that maybe not everyone's familiar with, and he looks like a nerd in the comics. Well, I mean, we're all nerds, but you know, even more of a nerd. You need to give some spice to him.
I think it's in the Justice League animated series. There's a clip which I see on memes all the time of Aquaman, where he's sort of in his little skimpy suit and then he's riding on the seahorses. And that's the comic Aquaman. So yeah, like I said, they've made him cool with Jason Momoa.
No, they did. We were lucky enough to go to the UK premiere when all of this all kicked off, and getting to meet James Wan, and it was Peter Safran as well. I think we met Peter again at, was it Shazam?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't meet him at the Aquaman one, but I met him at the Shazam one.
Yeah, no. Do you remember the moment they told you that you were going to go to that?
The Aquaman premiere?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on site at work, so I was at an event doing the registration, and then it was only two of us working, and then I just checked my phone, and I was like, so the subject line was Aquaman. I was like, what? And then I was like, I'm on the phone to my boss. I was like, I think it was like in 2 days' time or something, because it was quite last minute.
Yeah,
so I was like,
I'm not feeling well.
My work are really like they're quite flexible and they're really supportive. So if I'm like, listen, I need to take the day off, they'll be all right about it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I see you guys always have that flexibility. I heard that like your work knows that you're here to do the job and you do the job, but when something comes up, you need to give me that day off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's
like growing up as and I'm just putting it in this like word geek, right? When you were younger and whatnot, and you don't have to answer this question if you feel it's not relevant. But did you ever feel that as a female, one, being a geek, right, in that time was not cool anyway, but two, being a female, did you ever feel any kind of pushback from, be it society, or did you even feel like the comics was it relatable as a female for you to get into it and just absorb it for how you did?
Comic wise, I'll be honest, I've not really been reading comics for that long. Actually, it's only sort of I've read like some of the big Superman graphic novels before, but it's only sort of the past maybe 2, 3, 4 years that I've actually read the comics properly, or sort of when they come out. So growing up, I didn't really read them, but I was just sort of into the films and the TV series at that time. My group of friends, like a bunch of weirdos anyway, so it did things. Like one of my friends was obsessed with Fallout Boy, like completely obsessed. So we all had our own little things that we liked, and mine was just Superman. So yeah, I didn't really feel any bias towards it or anything like that. It was just seemed normal to me.
That's good.
All right, yeah, that's cool. Well, that's cool, because even now, I mean, nowadays is to be a geek is like a trend now, right? Everybody's on it and whatnot. And then also, you know, these days they're really kind of representing for all different kind of, you know, be it female gender or skin color and whatnot. So it's just easier. But to this day, believe it or not, I still have people cussing me about being a geek, and I'm just like, I don't know. Like my MMA fans, when we watch UFC, I always get dissed by them. But all the best fighters, I'm telling you, all the best fighters, I tell them all the time, they're all geeks. All the ones, they all love comic book stuff, and they refuse to believe it. So I'm like, listen, like they're the best fighters that will kill you. They're geeks too. They love the comic book movies and whatnot.
I do get some sticks sometimes, like when I go to like work events. Like, back when I used to go to work events, my boss, like, they're all really supportive of whatever I do and the fact that I love Superman, and they sort of make a thing out of it. So if I'm like if I'm at a work event, I'm not just like, hi, my name's Tasmin, I love Superman. So I don't really, it's not something that comes up. But then my boss will come over and be like, did you know she's obsessed with Superman, she's going for the world record, she's doing this, she's doing that. And I was like, okay. And it's just sometimes there's like a time and a place. But yeah, it's nice.
Oh man, that's always nice, because I get that at work as well, and they still get me for Aquaman to this day. and that they've got an image printed out in the office. I haven't seen it in a while, but lucky enough, we've both been lucky to have our names in trailers. And your one was Birds of Prey, and that must have made you freak out when you saw your name on that. But they got my one of Jason Momoa's face saying "stunning Qibla Ahmed R," and they printed it as a big poster in the office, and I'm like, why have you done that for? But he is. I'm not gonna,
He's a stunning dude.
He's
a good looking.
Is it the film that's stunning, or is it Jason Momoa?
Well, this is where they get confused, because the movie's stunning, but he's stunning as well. So I'm like, you know what? I can't complain, but it's one of those moments where I'm like, I remember going to that event, not thinking, well, I've already experienced a premiere.
Yeah.
Was that your first one as well?
Yeah, that was my first one.
Yeah, so I was, a bit all over the place, but we've had our epic journey and going to like screeners and stuff, and I know 2020 kind of held back a lot of things, but when the last show we had together was Birds of Prey, and again getting to see the cast, meet some of the comic guys there. I mean, Jim Lee, Dan Dido, Grant Morrison, who else was there? Jimmy was there.
Yeah, Jimmy Palmer.
Yeah. And these are the guys that created everything. For you to see your name come up in that trailer, like, you must have been buzzing.
Yeah, it's difficult with them because they ask you for. So you see the film and then they say, "What did you think of the film?" So you have to sort of give them a quote, and then they'll send an email saying, "We might want to use your quote," but you don't know if they're going to actually do it. So every in that Birds of Prey or whatever the film is put out, like whether it's like a promo video, you're watching it and you're like pausing every second, like, is that? And then it's a big bit, and I was like, yeah.
Well, is there pressure for when you guys go to a next one? Is there pressure of you like thinking of the best whatever quote so it could be on there, or because you know what I mean, it could truly kind of react with your it might not be your true expression. You might be thinking my true expression is this, but I want to get on the damn poster, so I'm gonna put this, like, do you know what I mean? Is there a bit of that pressure, or do you guys still try to be like, I'm gonna be as natural as possible and express myself?
Yeah, as natural as possible. Like you probably exaggerate a few words or look at the thesaurus instead of saying that, oh, this is great. But yeah, it's so natural.
No, it's got to be, because I feel like I get a lot of stick sometimes when it comes to certain things that I say, but I stand by it. I'm not trying to make other people like what I like. It's up to you what you like. At the end of the day, I'm sharing my content because it's something that I like looking at or watching or reading. So it's my opinion. So I know not everybody's going to agree with that. But I don't want it to escalate to a point where it's like, oh, it's because of this and it's because of that, and I'm like, no, not really. I just love it because I love it.
Yeah, that's kind of like one of the drawbacks of having a specific thing. Like, it's mostly on Facebook, to be honest. Like, I'm across all social media with like a Superman fan page, and if you put something on there that you love that isn't necessarily Superman, like the Birds of Prey thing, you're a Superman page. I'm like, no, I'm not. I just like Superman. But yeah, some people, if I like something, I'm gonna share about it. So regardless of what people think.
Of course.
I listen to the Joe Rogan podcast religiously, and one of his two advice he always gives, like, always be consistent, and two, I'm not gonna swear, but F the comments, F people in the comments, don't even look at them, whatnot. So I've kind of approached it in that way, because I don't give an F about anything, and even with like, I love all the comic book movies. I can understand if some are not good and whatnot, but like, I have friends who, like, they might diss the Justice League and they might say stuff like, oh, Zack Snyder effed it all up. And I just like, they're friends, so I want to respond. I'm like, even with my friends, F your comments. I don't even care.
A lot of the people that like my friends online are the ones that are all the geeks, like you guys, and sort of not people that live near me is what I'm trying to say. The people that do live me and live around me, they don't care, or they just have no idea what's going on. So I was trying to explain to my partner Andrew, saying like, oh, they're re-releasing Justice League. He was like, why? And I was like, what do you mean why? And I was explaining this thing. I was like, this happened. He's like, oh. He's like, but I thought the film was good. And I was like, it was all right. And as Maxwell Lord would say.
Have you got him into Superman? Is he like now a Superman fan because of you, or does he just accept because of you?
He hates. No, he likes it. He likes all the films and stuff anyway. So, like, he got annoyed that I watched Wonder Woman without him because Wonder Woman's the one that loves. But he likes the character, but he hates Henry Cavill just because, not well, just as a person, because like I fancy him and because
Okay.
all around my rooms. So, yeah, he's just sick of seeing his face.
Oh, brilliant!
Oh, that's
Brilliant.
fun. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I'm a big Punisher fan, so that's my dude. I have my own mental reasons, and I say again, I don't condone what he does. As an adult now, I know it's wrong, but he's my guy. And then my girl, she doesn't know anything about comic books. She don't know nothing. But now she's a Punisher fan, and she ended up watching like the Netflix shows, and she buys me all these Punisher things, and I'm like, it's cute, but you don't have to. And he is a violent dude. And she was like, "Why do you like him? He's so violent." I'm like, there's history behind it, man. I can't get too deep.
I think the TV show gave him a bit of mystery, and that's why, like, my wife was like, "You know what? I really like him," and I'm like, "Who? The Punisher or the actor?" And then she was like, "No, the actor, because he's got this mysterious thing about him." And I'm like, "Bloody hell! I thought you would have went for Ben. Is it Ben Barnes? That's his name in the character."
Oh yeah.
I forgot his name.
I can't think of his name.
The guy who played Jigsaw, yeah?
Yeah. I think you guys met him at we met him at Comic-Con as well, yeah.
Oh, you guys met him, yeah?
Well, I walked past, but
is he? Because he's a good-looking dude, but he's well structured, isn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know how else to pull him.
I mean, he's a good-looking fella. I can't think of what his name was. But yeah, Andrew. He's not. I started watching Daredevil. On like the net. This was like a couple of years ago when it came out, and then because that came out, I watched all the other ones that sort of linked into it. Yeah. So like Iron Fist, Jessica Jones, and then Punisher as well. And he said the Punisher's the best superhero thing he's ever seen. So he's a big fan of that as well.
Yeah, a lot of people do. I mean, like once you watch the show, like it gives him a lot of character. I mean, I'll defend him. I'll biasly defend him. All the Punisher things, I'm biased, as you might be towards some of the Superman stuff. Anything Punisher, I'm like, it's great.
So Taz, I wanted to ask, because what like your collection at the moment now, and it's a massive collection. Have you kept account of it?
Yeah, I can give you an exact total.
Yes.
Is this a comic book collection or figure?
No,
collection?
This is everything related to Superman. It could be.
Damn! So it's like a teacup or something, and
yeah, I got some weird things. I've got it split into two, so I've got 1,580 comics, which isn't that many really when compared to a lot of people, and then Superman items 1,332.
Wow!
Is that the record, the Guinness Book of Record thing that you mentioned earlier about your boss saying she's trying to break a record? Is that?
Yeah. Well, the world record is. I've done my research. It's 1,518. So
518. Anything to do with Superman. So that could be, like I say, a pen, socks, whatever. Okay. So you're not too. What you say?
Set, you can't count it as one, but as long as it's like individual stuff, you can count it. And it can't be the same thing. It's got to be individual.
Oh, I see. Okay, but you're not too far away, right? You said you were at 100, 1,000.
1,330 something.
Okay.
But the person that's got the world record, I know. He keeps saying, "There's like, if anyone's gonna take it, you need to take it." So he sort of told me that they don't accept comics in there, which is why I separated them out.
Okay.
But he said if it's like a few hundred comics, they tend to accept it rather than like thousands. So I just want to get to the point where I've got enough memorabilia without comics, and then I'll add the comics after.
Oh, that's cool. Well, you're still young, so you got time to achieve it. So I'm sure you'll get there. And it's nice that your competition is a bit supportive.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Otherwise, he's gonna be in the background collecting more shit. It's like, no, you're not taking my record.
No, I think there was a point where he was looking to sell all of his stuff. I think I don't know the reasons why, but yeah, I think he's kept it and he's still going, but I don't think he's interested in having he's not bothered about having the world record and stuff anymore.
So wait, so how does that work? So say you get to your 1,600, for example. Do you call Guinness Book of Records and they send someone to your house and they count everything individually to make sure it's all legit? Is that how it would work?
I think so. I think you have to like. I don't really know the ins and outs, but from what he said, is you contact them and then you have to tally up everything that you have and take pictures, which I do anyway, so I know what I've got.
Yeah.
So he said that bit took him the longest time, so I've got that already done. So
Perfect. I was going to say that's massive inventory there.
yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's much like. I mean, I was thinking, should I do that for the Punisher? But that's kind of weird, man. People might think I'm a killer or something's wrong with the skull thing all over the place. Forget about it. Got enough troubles in anyway.
I love
What's-
Halloween.
Yeah, what sort of podcasts or like who people you follow that inspire you? Obviously, you know you're hustling, you're doing your thing. Is there any like podcasts or people you follow that inspire you to kind of like push yourself even more? Apart from the Brothers Geek Out podcast, which I know you listen to every week. I have to throw that in there.
It's like all the people that I hang around with, really. Like in scale wise, like I've got a website and I've got a YouTube channel, but I don't really have much else than that at the minute. So like, or like I don't have the biggest following either. So it's like my goal is just to sort of get that up at the minute. So I don't know, like all the people that I follow now, like you guys, Geek Steel, DC World, Get Your Comic On, We Have a Hulk. It's just people that we talk to and we know that because they're doing something cool, it sort of pushes you to do the same.
Right.
I think my ultimate inspiration is Tiffany Smith, though. I love her, obsessed with her. But yeah, people like that, really.
That's good.
And
That's
is that
really good.
is there like a dream in mind, or is it just like you're gonna go with the flow, break this record of collectibles, and just keep blogging and keep doing what you're doing, or is there like an ultimate dream where you're like, that's the life?
My goal is like at the minute, like they're not low, but they're not the ones that are like way up here. So at the minute, like we want to break the world
Small
record.
goals, yeah.
Yeah, it's like small goals that are achievable at the minute. But yeah, I'd love to like host panels and stuff like that. Just that one, sorry. Yeah, I'd love to like host a panel, just continue to go to all these premieres and these cool events, and maybe be the person at a Comic-Con that people go to meet. That'll be. But I don't really do anything.
Is there someone that you would love to meet? Like, is Henry Cavill your dude that you want to meet, or is there anyone somewhere specific that you want to meet and maybe not necessarily interview, but just want to meet in your lifetime?
Yeah, it's probably Henry Cavill. He's, other than obviously the people that I can't meet now, he's probably the only Superman. And I haven't met Tyler. I don't know how to say his last name. Hoechlin.
Yeah, I think it's Hutchin.
Is that the new dude?
He's the guy for the TV series.
Okay, what do you think of him? What's your thoughts on him?
I haven't seen enough of him, to be honest. What I have seen is just he's like a secondary character in Supergirl. So I think this Superman and Lois TV series is going to be completely different. So I saw there's a ghost in the house.
That's what I was gonna say.
What's going on? Yeah, I don't think I've seen enough of him, but my ultimate meet at the minute is probably Henry Cavill, because he's probably the only Superman that I haven't met at the minute.
I was gonna say, so you're still going through Smallville as well, ain't you?
Oh, I haven't met Tom Welling either yet. Yeah.
All right, so Tom Welling, so you've gone through because you've met, I think because that was the one that I missed, which was in Liverpool. Can't remember. So that was Dean Cain, Terry Hatcher, and there was another Superman there. He was the young Superman.
Yeah, Jeff East.
That's it, right. So what was that like meeting him?
It's weird because the film was so long ago. He just doesn't look like doesn't look like what he did before. And he wore prosthetics in the film as well, so that didn't. But yeah, it was great. He was really nice, and I think a lot of people didn't realize who he was. So there weren't that many people there to meet him, so he really took the time to have a chat with you, and yeah, he was really nice.
Oh, that's awesome. That's absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
This is more like games related. There's a guy who voiced The Witcher. I think his name is Doug Cook. And just before Henry Cavill finished off wrapping up doing The Witcher for Netflix, I did the Anime Comic-Con. I don't know if you remember that. It was like 2 years ago. And I sat next to him. Throughout the whole time, I'm sitting next to this guy, And I'm thinking, he's asking me about my artwork, and he's telling me, why aren't you charging more? And I'm like, this is my first Comic-Con. It's my first table. I don't know what people are going to spend. I don't even know if I'm going to sell anything. And then he saw my table like quite packed, and he was like, oh, you did really well today. And then the second day when I went back, I was like, dude, what are you doing? Because you're just sitting there by yourself for the past. And he was like, my name's Doug Cook. I voiced the Witcher in the game. And I'm like, oh my God, I've been sitting next to you this whole time. And then, like, we've been talking ever since, and I want to get him on a podcast, hopefully, as well. I have pushed it to him. So it's weird when you see somebody like that from an industry where you're like, oh, how come he hasn't got many people coming to see him? But then people just don't know. Nobody would ask that question I didn't even know that question to say, oh, this is the guy from Superman, or this was the guy that voiced the character in a video game. So
I remember when I posted the picture with Jeff East, everyone was like, who the hell is that? And I was just like, it's Jeff East. He's like, yeah, who's that? And then I was like, young Clark Kent. Like, oh,
bless.
Yeah, one of those.
Nah, that's awesome. All right, we're coming close to an hour. Was there anything else?
No, I think that was it. I mean, I appreciate the hustle, and that's why I was like, kids, let's talk to people who's hustling, and that's what I appreciate. I get inspired by that. I see the work that you guys are all doing. I see the inspiration that Kibla's getting from you guys, and it inspires me. I love that. I love the hustle. I love to hear people's stories of how they hustle and stuff. It's inspiring. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you.
No, massive thank you for the time, Tasmin. Guys, make sure you click on the links below, because I'm going to have the Aspiring Kryptonians YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Everything. It's all going to be linked down below. Guys, make sure you click in. Make sure you go in and follow her amazing journey. Tasmin, thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
Always a pleasure catching up with you. It's been a long time.
I know, it has. Like, too long.
Actually, in February it'll be a year, because that was the last time we saw each other at a Birds of Prey premiere.
Damn.
It's gone quick though. It's a long time, but it's gone so quick.
It so has. But no, thanks again for joining us on the Brothers and Sisters Geek Out podcast.
Anytime.
And have a wonderful evening. We'll catch you up.
Yeah, you too.